So we begin the Gemara today on Daf Hey Amud Beis, where it says Tanan. So the Gemara here is discussing a machlekes between Rav Masna and Bar Pada. The din that it said in the Mishnah that Stam Naziris is 30 days. So there's a machlekes what the source of this is. So Rav Masna says that Stam Naziris is taka 30 days because you learn out from the word Yiyah. Yiyah is Gematria 30. But Bar Pada said that Minat Torah, Naziris is not 30 days. Minat Torah, Naziris is really 29 days. There's a Gzeira, Chachamim made a Gzeira that you should keep a 30th day as well. But really Minat Torah, it's not 30 days. That's what we learned in the Gemara till here. Okay, the Gemara brought a Mishnah from later on Daf Tezayin, the beginning of the second Perek, discussing the opinion of Bar Pada. The Gemara here, the whole continuation of the Sugya, will quote from this Mishnah on Daf Tezayin, the beginning of the second Perek, and some of the things the Gemara says here is a repetition from before. Let's see. Zok the Gemara Tanan. So we learned there in this Mishnah, Mish Noza Beis Naziris, a person that accepted upon himself twice Naziris, and the Stam Naziris is 30 days. So how long does these two Naziris last? So the Mishnah says, Megaleach Asarishayna Yom Lamed Ve'echad. So you cut your hair, in other words, the conclusion of the first Naziris is on the 31st day. And Vashniya, the conclusion of the second Naziris, Liyayim Shishim Vechad, on the 61st day. So what do you see here? Says the Gemara, Bish Rav Masne Niche. So according to Rav Masne, we understand why the Mishnah says that you wait until the 31st day. The 31st day is after 30 full days. Right? Rav Masne says, Minat Torah has to be 30 full days. So on the 31st day, that's when you are Megaleach and you conclude your first Naziris. And then you can begin your Naziris on the 31st day, and therefore it finishes also on the 60th day, and then on the 61st day is when you do the Giluach for the second Naziris. But according to Bar Pada, that says that a Naziris is really only 29 days. And on the 30th day, you should be able to cut your hair. So Kashya, this Mishnah is a Kashya, when the Mishnah says that you wait until the 31st day. Amalach Bar Pada, so Bar Pada answers you, Eimaseifa. Look what it says after this in the Mishnah there. V'im gilach asarishayna liyayim shleishim. If the first Naziris he accepted upon himself, so he cut his hair on the 30th day, so then that's a good, that's accepted. And megaleach asashniya liyayim shishim. So then you begin your Naziris on the 30th day, and it completes, and then you do the second Geluach on the 60th day. So over here, this is like Bar Pada said, that really the Naziris finishes on the 29th day, and it's on the 30th day that you have to cut your hair. Says the Gemara, and this is a similar point the Gemara already said before on the Fayim base. So the Seifa of that Mishnah actually proves Bar Pada's point, that Naziris is really 29 days. And it's the 30th day that you can cut your hair on it. Reisha, so what's the pshat in the Reisha of that Mishnah when it says that you cut your hair on the 31st day? Over there, the person said that he's accepting upon himself full 30 days. So he has to wait until the 31st day. That's the girsa we have in our Gemara. But other Rishayim Agairis, the Bachir brings the girsa, Nase ka'omer shleimim. Even if he didn't clearly say that he's accepting upon himself 30 days, but Chachamim will geyser that when you accept a Stam Nazirus, because many times a person says 30 days, that's sort of the minimum of a Nazirus, so therefore Chachamim said a Stam Nazirus should have a 30th day as well, and therefore, L'chatchila, you have to do the Giluach on the 31st day. But B'di'evet, if you did the Giluach on the 30th day, it's accepted, because Minat Torah, the Nazirus ends after 29 days. Okay, this is really the same point the Gemara said before on Daf Hey Amud Beis, when the Gemara discussed this same question and answer regarding that Mishnah there, when a person accepted one Naziris upon himself. That same Mishnah on Daf Tezayin, the Gemara already explained this before. Now, frek the Gemara, Ol Rav Masne, Kashya Seifes, and according to Rav Masne, the Seif of that Mishnah is a question on his opinion. What's Rav Masne's opinion? Rav Masne's opinion is that Minat Torah, a Naziris is full 30 days. And only on the 31st day, you should be allowed to cut your hair. So why does it say in the Sefer of that Mishnah that if you cut on the 30th day, it's okay? Rav Masna will tell you, Kidiktani Sefer, the pshat here is, like it says later on there in the Mishnah, that Yom Shloishim, when you accept upon yourself two Naziris, 30 days. And another 30 days. So the 30th day, oile lekan o lekan. That 30th day can actually count for the conclusion of the first Nazirus and also the beginning of the second Nazirus. What's the reason for that? So the Gemara now says, Maihi. What's the reason we say this according to Rav Masna? Mikta sayem kekulai. The reason is because part of the day is counted as the full day. So if the Enochanami, Rav Masna holds that Minat Teire, the Nazirus must be 30 days, but what's the 30 days? The 30 days is the 30th day. It doesn't have to be a full day. Mikta sayem. And the same thing also when you're starting your second Nazirus, you don't have to start your second Nazirus at the beginning of the day. You start it in the middle of the day. So therefore, this 30th day is Ayla Lakan Lakan for the conclusion of the first Nazirus and the beginning of the second Nazirus. So the Gemara now asks, this is really a continuation here of a question, Frek the Gemara, but Ha'amra Chadizimne. This idea of Miktas Hayem Kekuloi was already said once before. This is what the Gemara brought before on the Fe'emid Beis, over there, in the beginning of that same Mishnah. It speaks about when a person accepted upon himself one Nazirus. And there the Mishnah says that you could cut your hair on the 30th day. And the reason is, even though Rav Masna holds it has to be 30 days, but you can cut your hair on the 30th day because Miktas Hayem Kekulai, the fact that you kept Nazirus part of the 30th day, you can cut your hair in some time in the day. So why does it have to say over here again, this halacha of Miktas Hayem Kekulai regarding a case when a person accepted upon himself two Nazirisen? It's the same idea, Miktas Hayem Kekulai. And for the Gemara, because Mao, the Taime, I would think to say, Hanimili, when do I apply the concept of Miktas Hayem Kekulai, Linyan Choden Naziris? Maybe only when there's one Naziris, 30 days, and then you don't have to keep the full 30th day, and I can apply Miktas Hayem Kekulai. Volishtei Naziris Loi, but in a situation where you're using Miktas Hayem Kekulai, when the person accepted upon himself two Naziris, and maybe I wouldn't say that. I'm using this one day for conclusion of the first Nazirus and the beginning of the second Nazirus. Maybe that I don't say. You can't use the same day for two different Nazirus that you accepted upon yourself. Kamash Malan, that's why it has to say that Miktas Hayem Kekulai applies in such a case as well. That's the pshat according to Rav Masna. Okay, the Gemara does not explain according to Bar Pada. The whole Mishnah here, the point, the way the Gemara explains the Mishnah according to Bar Pada is also really a repetition from what the Mishnah said before. Same halacha the Mishnah says regarding a Nazir that accepts one Naziris upon himself. It's basically saying the same halacha here regarding a person that accepts two Naziris upon himself. That Minatayre, the Naziris is 29 days, but Midarabana, they were geyser, that it should be 30 days. The Gemara doesn't explain why, according to Bar Pada, the Mishnah repeats it again. So the Rishonim say that according to Bar Pada, it's Pashut. And what the point is that Bar Pada Be'emes usually holds that you don't say Miktas Hayem Kekulai. When it comes to the conclusion of Naziris, so you have to keep the entire Naziris till the end of the day. Elamai, the Chiddush over here of the Gemara is, or the Mishnah is, that even Bar Pada will agree that you do say Miktas Hayem Kekulai when you begin your Naziris. Let's say a person in the middle of the day accepts upon himself Naziris. You don't have to accept Naziris dafka in the beginning of the day. You don't have to start your Naziris in the beginning of the day. You can start your Naziris in the middle of the day, and that day counts as a full day of Naziris. And that you see dafka over here in this case, that on the 30th day, when you're completing your first Naziris, so you can begin your second Naziris on that day, because even though Bar Pada doesn't hold of the concept of Miktas Hayem Kekula when you're completing your Naziris, but beginning your second Naziris, you can start in the middle of the day. That's the Chiddush here. Sagt the Gemara weiter, Tanan, over there in that same Mishnah it says, regarding this case, when a person accepted upon himself two Nazirisin, that im gilach yoim shishim chaser echad, if you cut your hair when? On the 60th day minus 1 day, on the 59th day, yotza. So then you'll be yaitze. How could you be yaitze? So the Mishnah there explains, sheyoim shloishim oilaloi ne'en minyan. Because the 30th day could be counted already for the first day also for the second Naziris. In other words, the Mishnah is explaining there that the 30th day is Oilam and Aminyan for the conclusion of the first Naziris, and it's also the first day of the second Naziris. So if the 30th day is being counted for both the first and the second day, so then it comes out that on the 59th day you already have 30 days. You started counting on the 30th day. You don't have to start on the 31st day. Once, if you're counting on the 30th day, so then the 59th day is already the 30th day. So therefore, if you cut your hair on the 59th day, Miktas Hayem Kekulai, and it's accepted. So the Gemara now explains, Bishleime l'Rav Masne niche. According to Rav Masne, it's understood what the Mishnah is saying here when it says that the 30th day is Oile Loimen Aminyan. And again, the way the Gemara understands this right now is Oile Loimen Aminyan means that the 30th day will be counted as the conclusion of the first Naziris and as the first day of the second Naziris. According to Rav Masne, it's understood why the Mishnah is saying that. Because Rav Masne's opinion is that the Stam Naziris needs 30 days. So if it needs 30 days, it has to explain that 30th day is taka being used for the first Naziris and also for the second Naziris. But according to the Bar Pada, Lamali, why does the Mishnah have to say this? Why does the Mishnah have to say that the 30th day is being used for the first Naziris and for the second Naziris? According to Bar Pada, it's only 29 days. So the Mishnah doesn't have to explain anything. It's pashut. The first Naziris ends after 29 days, and the second Naziris begins on the 30th day. Amalach, so Bar Pada will answer you, no, according to me, actually, the Mishnah works very good. You have to read the Mishnah differently. Anon nami aha samchi. My opinion, I actually rely on what it says here in this Mishnah. And the Rishonim explain that the way Bar Pada reads the lashon of the Mishnah, when it says that Yom Shloishim Oile Loimen Aminyan, the Mishnah is not saying that the 30th day counts for the conclusion of the first Naziris and also for the beginning of the second Naziris. Yom Shloishim Oile Loimen Aminyan means the first Naziris ended on the 29th day. And the 30th day is the first day of the second Naziris. That's all it means to say. Exactly what Bar Pada's Shitta is. So Adarabbe, Bar Pada is saying, I'm relying on what the Mishnah says here, that the Yom Shloishim is already the first day of the second Naziris. Tana, we learned there in that very same Mishnah. Again, like I said, this is all the Mishnah on Daf Tazayin, the beginning of the second Perek. So it says there in the Mishnah, Mi Shamar Hareini Nazir. Person says he's a Nazir, so again, this is a Stam Naziris, which is 30 days. And then Nitma Yom Shloishim. He became Tameh on the 30th day. So a Nazir that becomes Tameh, it nullifies the entire Naziris, and usually have to start all over again. So he became Tameh on the 30th day. So the Mishnah says, Saiser Sakal. So it nullifies the entire Naziris, and you have to start over again. So the Gemara now says, Bishloim Rav Masne Niche. According to Rav Masne, we understand why it nullifies your entire Naziris. Because Rav Masne says that the Stam Naziris is taka 30 days. So on the 30th day, person becomes Tameh, it nullifies the whole Naziris. But here, let me just stop a moment and explain what the Gemara means. All the Rishonim asked the question, wait a minute, didn't we just say, according to Rav Masne, there's a concept of miktsas hayayim kekuloi. So as soon as some of the day entered, and he becomes Tameh sometime in the 30th day, so it shouldn't nullify his Naziris because he already kept part of the 30th day. So the Rishonim say, miktsas hayayim kekuloi, the way the Mishnah is explaining it here, you see, even according to Rav Masne, means that once you cut part of the Naziris on that 30th day, you can go and cut your hair and bring your korbanos to conclude your Naziris. And then your Naziris will be concluded. But if you didn't take action to stop your Naziris, the miktsas hayayim kekuloi will not stop your Naziris automatically after miktsas of the day entered. So over here, what that Mishnah is saying is, miktsas of the day entered, and he didn't do anything. He didn't cut his hair, he didn't bring any korbanos. His Naziris continues. And then he became Tameh, so therefore it will be Saiser, his entire Naziris. So you see over here that, at least according to this opinion, we'll see soon as a machlokes, according to this opinion, miktsas hayayim kekuloi is only if you do a maaseh to actually stop your Naziris. There's a similar thing that the Rishonim say regarding another place where miktsas hayayim kekuloi is used, is benegeh to the halacha of avelos, that on the seventh day, miktsas hayayim kekuloi. But over there, the avelos doesn't end automatically. When the Avelim get up, the way it has to be done, you tell the Avelim to get up from their Avelos, then the Avelos ends. A Maisa has to be done in order that to put an end to the, otherwise automatically it would continue to the rest of the day. Okay, so that's why according to Rav Masne, this is understood. But according to Bar Pada, that says that really menat Torah. The Naziris is 29 days. It's only midrabanan. They were geizer to add an extra day, a 30th day. Kashya. So this is a question. If the 30th day is not really part of the Naziris menat Torah, so why if he becomes Tameh on the 30th day, does it nullify his entire Naziris? Amalach Bar Pada. So Bar Pada will tell you, what does that say afterwards in that Mishnah? There's a machlokes there. There's another opinion that fits exactly with what Bar Pada says. Rabbi Eliezer says, Ein Seiser Ela Shiva, that if on the 30th day he became Tameh, so he actually it does not nullify his entire Naziris. Rather, all that it'll do is it's going to be Seiser, which really means in this context that he's going to have to wait 7 days. because he became a Tmei Meis, so he can't bring his karbanis. A Nazir has to be present when his karbanis are brought. Some karbanis, you could send a shliach to bring a carbon, but not by a Nazir. He has to come himself to bring his carbon. The Shainim explained this. And therefore, in such a case, if he became Tamei in the 30th day, he's only going to have to wait 7 days. That's all. So this fits exactly with Bar Pada's Shitta, that the Naziris is really 29 days. The 30th day, if he becomes Tommy on that day, it's not Saisa as Naziris. He just has to wait 7 days to be able to bring his carbon. Okay. Now, so the Rishayim explain what this really means is that according to Bar Pada, the machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and the Tanakama is, Rabbi Eliezer says that since the 30th day, Minat Torah is not part of the Naziris, it's just a Chumra, Gzeirim Rabbanan to keep a 30th day, but the Chachamim, they didn't turn the 30th day into a day of Naziris. They said you should keep the 30th day as a Naziris because of Gzeira, because of people that usually accept 30 days. But it's not actually a day of Naziris. The Tanakama, however, holds that even though it's only Gzeirim Rabbanan, but Chachamim will geyser, that the 30th day becomes a part of the Naziris. At kedei kach, that if you become Tomei in the 30th day, it will nullify your entire Naziris. That's the machlokes according to Bar Pada. And now the Gemara explains, what the Bach over here says, that Rabbi Eliezer's opinion now only fits with Bar Pada, because if you're going to say you need full 30 days, so nista kulu, so then on the 30th day, if you became Tamei, it should be Saisad his entire Naziris. If Rav Masna is right, that you need full 30 days, how are we going to explain what Rabbi Eliezer said? That it's not Saisad his Naziris, he just has to wait 7 days to be able to bring his carbon because he's Tamei. And for the Gemara, Kasava Rabbi Eliezer holds Miktsas Hayayim Kekuloi, that we do apply over here this concept of Miktsas Hayayim Kekuloi, that because he became Tomei in the 30th day, so therefore it's not Saisar as Naziris. In other words, the way Taisus explains this, that the machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer and the Tanakama is the point that I said before. What's the pshat in Miktsas Hayayim Kekulei? The Tanakama says Miktsas Hayayim Kekulei means that you have the option to stop your Naziris once Miktsas of the day enters, but you have to take action to stop your Naziris. If you didn't, and you became Tamei, you're still in the middle of Naziris, it'll nullify your entire Naziris. Rabbi Eliezer's mechadish, the Miktsas Hayayim Kekulei means that automatically, once Miktsas of the day enters, your Naziris is over. And if you become Tamei on the 30th day, it's not going to nullify your Naziris because Miktsas Hayayim Kekulei is an automatic thing even without you taking an action. That's the pshat in the machlokes here. Okay, the Gemara goes weiter. Tanan, again, this is quoting from this Mishnah on Daf Tezayin. The Mishnah there says, Hareini Nazir Me'yayim. Person says, I'll be a Nazir for 100 days. Nitma Yoimeya, he became Tamei on the 100th day, on the last day of his Nazirus. Saiser Sakal. So this will nullify his entire Naziris. The 100th day is still part of his Naziris. Rabbi Eliezer says, it's not going to be so. You don't have to count another 100 days. Rather, you're going to have to count now 30 days for a Naziris. So now, this opinion of Rabbi Eliezer here is hard to understand. It doesn't fit with any of the explanations we said before in Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. Not Bar Pada's explanation and not Rav Masna's explanation. The Gemara asks, if you're going to say, Sava Rabbi Eliezer, Miktsas Hayayim Kekuloi, you're going to say the explanation that the Gemara said before according to Rav Masna, that Rabbi Eliezer holds Miktsas Hayayim Kekuloi, and automatically on the last day, part of the day entered, the Naziris ends already. So if so, over here as well, if it's 100 days and it's on the last day, Nista Shiva, just like he said before, by 30 days, that if you became Tamei in the last day, it doesn't nullify your Naziris, you just have to wait 7 days to be able to bring your carbon. Why don't we say the same thing over here? If Rabbi Eliezer does not hold that Miktsas Hayayim is Kekulai, and therefore it should be Saisa, the whole Naziris, Lista Kulu, it should be Saisa, the entire Naziris, and it should have to count the whole Naziris over again, 100 days. Why only 30 days? So Bekitzer, this idea of 30 days is strange. What's this Indian of 30 days? And for the Gemara, Lo'olam loy amrinan Miktsas Hayayim Kekulai. So really, we're going to have to say, and this is actually, the Gemara is explaining here, according to Bar Pada explained before, that Rabbi Eliezer does not hold of this concept of Miktsas Hayayim Kekulai. Like the Gemara explained before, and that Bar Pada's pshat was that the reason why Ein Saisel Shiva is because really when you accept Stam Naziris, it's 29 days. It's the 30th day is not part of the Naziris anymore. And over here as well, when a person accepts 100 days, Rabbi Eliezer does not hold of this concept of Miktsas Hayayim Kekulai. Your question was, Yihachi lista kulu. Over here, if he clearly accepted 100 days, so the 100th day is part of his Nazirus, and he became Tameh, it should nullify the whole Nazirus. But Reish Lakish answers, Haine time of the Rabbi Eliezer. The pshat and what Rabbi Eliezer's opinion is here in this case is Omakra, because the pasuk says as follows. It's a limit from a pasuk. It's like Zayris HaKasav about this. Zayis Teiris HaNazir. This is the halach of a Nazir. B'yoim Melois Yemei Nizrai. The day that Melois, that we fill, that it ends the day of his Naziris. What does this mean? Ha-Teira Amra, the Teira tells you, Nitme, B'yoim Melois, that if a person becomes Tomei on the last day of his Naziris, Ten Loi Teiras Nazir. So then, you have to give him, in other words, he has an obligation to keep a Teiras Nazir. What's the Teiras Nazir? The Teiras Nazir is 30 days. That's the minimum of Teiras Nazir, 30 days. So the Teira here is telling you, Anuk Zayris HaKasav. If a person's Naziris was nullified, if he became Tomei sometime in middle of Naziris, he has to redo the whole Naziris. If it's 100 days, the whole 100 days over again. But if he became Tomei on the Yoim Melois, on the last day, this is Zayris HaKasav, that on the last day, you don't have to redo the entire Naziris, just 30 days again. A Teiras Nazir. Teiras Nazir is just 30 days again. So that's a reason why over here Rabbi Eliezer says 30 days. Before, Rabbi Eliezer says that we're not Saisa the whole Naziris because he accepted a Stam Naziris, and Stam Naziris is 29 days, and he became Tomei on the 30th day, and 30th day is already not in his Naziris. That's the husband of the Gemara here, according to Bar Pada. Okay, the Gemara does not explain Rabbi Eliezer's opinion according to Rav Masna. The Rishonim discuss it, but this is the Gemara's explanation according to Bar Pada. Sagt die Gemara weiter, Leime, where am I over here? Leime ketanoi. Let us say that the machlokes between Rav Masna and Bar Pada is a machlokes tanoim. Again, the machlokes between Rav Masna and Bar Pada is whether Stam Naziris Menat Teira is 30 days, and Bar Pada says Stam Naziris is really 29 days. Rabbanan, what guys it to keep a 30th day? So l'chayda, we see that this is already a machlokes tanoim. It says in the Braise, in this pasuk, Ad Melois Hayomim, that a person keeps his Nazirus, right? So the pasuk there says, Kol Yemei Neder Nizroi, Ta'ala Yavar Al Roishoi, Ad Melois Hayomim, until the days are filled. So how long is Melois Hayomim? So Shemani Miyut Yomim Shnayim. I would hear from this, I would understand from this, that what's Yomim? Yomim, it would mean 2 days. So that would mean, l'chayre, that a Stam Naziris would be just 2 days. Talmud Laima, therefore the pasuk there continues and says, Kadosh Yiyeh Gadol Pera, Ein Gidl Seya Pachas Mishleishim. So from this pasuk we learn that Stam Naziris is no less than 30 days. And from where is he learning this? Divrei Rabbi Yeshia. From where is Rabbi Yeshia learning this? Because it says Yiyeh. And this is exactly what Rav Masna said, that Yiyeh is Gematria 30, and from here we learn that it has to be 30 days, not 2 days. Rabbi Yonasan says, I don't need to learn from that pasuk, because in this pasuk itself, when it says Ad Melois Hayamim, until the days are filled, what does that expression mean? What are days that have to be filled? That means 30 days. What does this mean? Days that have to be filled. So the Rishonim explain here, as we'll see in the continuation of the Gemara as well, that when it comes to a month is sometimes 29 days, and a month is sometimes 30 days. So a month, really, in the cycle of the moon, a month is 29 and a half days, something like that. Chavtes and Yud Beis Shois and Tashzak Chalakim. So a month, sometimes we're mashlim it to 30, and sometimes we leave it at 29. So this number of 30 is a number of days that applies by a month that we have to fill in the month, because the month itself is not full 30 days, it's 29 and a half days. So when the Torah uses the expression of Melois Hayamim, it's referring to the 30 days, because that's the days that you are mashlim for a month. Okay, so now the Gemara says, my love, so don't you think, right over here we see this machlekes, we can say that the machlekes of Rav Masna and Bar Pada is this machlekes over here. Rav Masna dama Rabbi Yeshia. Rav Masna that says that min atayre, the Naziris is 30 days. That's exactly what Rabbi Yeshia said, that we learn out from Kodesh Yiyeh. Yiyeh is 30 days. Bar Pada dama Rabbi Yonasan, and we could say that Bar Pada holds like Rabbi Yonasan. When Bar Pada learns out Melois Hayamim, that we learned that the group of days that you have to be mashlim for the month. So the Gemara now is saying that we could say that what Rabbi Yonasan is saying is that what is ad malois hayamim? Ad malois hayamim means the day that you have to fill in, which is the 30th day, but you don't have to fill in that 30th day until that 30th day that you fill in, but not including that day that you fill in. So what Rabbi Yonasan is saying is only 29 days. It's exactly like what Bar Pada said. So the Gemara answers, Amalach Rav Masna. Rav Masna will answer you that according to me, it doesn't have to be a machlokes of these Tanaim. So the Rishonim Taka say the Gemara will only explain according to Rav Masna that it's not a machlokes Tanaim. Bar Pada's opinion that Minat Torah Stam Naziris is only 29 days. It could only work with Rabbi Yonasan's opinion. It cannot work with Rabbi Yeshia. Rabbi Yeshia clearly said, Ein Gidl say a pachas mishloishim, and he learned it out from Yeh. So for sure, Bar Pada cannot work with Rabbi Yeshia's opinion. But Rav Masna, though, is not necessarily dependent on these two opinions. Both opinions could work according to Rav Masna's shitta. And he explains, both opinions agree to what I said, that Minat Torah, the Naziris is 30 days. But what's the argument here? Over here, what they're arguing is when the Torah uses the term ad, which means until, what does that term ad mean? Does ad mean including that day? Or ad until that day, not including that day? Rabbi Yoshia sava ad v'lo yad b'chlal. Rabbi Yoshia says when it says in the Torah ad, and over here it says ad melois hayomim, it does not include that day, that last day that's filling in to 30. And therefore, Rabbi Yoshia says that I have to learn out the full 30 days from a different pasuk, from this that it says Yiyah. So everyone holds 30 days, but because Rabbi Yoshia holds that Ad is v'lo yad b'chlal, so I can't learn out the full 30 days from Ad melois hayamim. Rabbi Yonasan savar Ad v'ad b'chlal. That Ad means including the 30th day, and therefore he says you could learn it out from Ad melois hayamim because it means the 30th day, including the 30th day. So that's the machlokes, but everybody agrees that it's Minat Torah 30 days. Okay, the Gemara now comes back to this point that it said in this Braise and explains it. Oh, Mamar, so the Tana said in the Braise, what are days that have to be filled in? That's 30 days. 30 days have to be filled in. Like I explained it before regarding the month, and therefore that's the minimum of Naziris. Maybe it means the 7 days of the week. When the 7 days of the week are completed, maybe that's the melois, the completion of the 7 days of the week that the Torah is saying that Stam Naziris would be 7 days. So the Gemara says, no, it's not. It can't be Shabbos. Shabbos, mi ike chasirusa. Regarding Shabbos, do you ever have such a concept that there's a week that's missing, that it's less, that it's 6 days, and Shabbos fills it into a 7th day? The concept of melois doesn't apply to Shabbos. Shabbos is always 7 days. It only could be by a month, which could be either 29 days or 30 days. Says the Gemara, but still, frek the Gemara ve'eime shana. Maybe it means a whole year. Because also regarding a year, you have different numbers of days in the year. You have sometimes 353 days, 354 days, or even 355 days, even if it's not a Shana Mu'uberes. A regular year depends on the months of Cheshvan and Kislev, if it's a Chaser or a Malay in those months. So you see that the year as well, you could be mashlim the days of the year. So maybe over here, when it says Malois, it means the days of the year that you fill in. Says the Gemara, no, that it doesn't apply to a year either, because mi maninan liyoimi, do we count days to be mashlim the day of the year? V'harabanan the Kesri Amri, the Rabbanan of Kesri said, minayin shein moinin yomim l'shanim. From where do I know that I don't fill in the days of a year? What is this referring to? What's referring to is there's a discrepancy between the Shnas HaChama and the Shnas HaLavana, the solar year and the lunar year, right? So when do you fill in the Shnas HaLavana that's missing? You don't fill in, when a year ends, which is usually 354 days, you fall 11 days behind from the solar year, from 365 days. So you would think that let's just fill in every year 11 days. Every year 11 days, so you don't have to have a Shana Mu'uberes once in every 1 or 2 years, and that's it. So from here, he's learning out, no, we don't do such a thing. We're not mashlim the days that it's missing. We actually wait 2 years until we have 30 days rather, that are missing, and then we're mashlim it, right? So from where do we learn this out? Shenema, the pasuk says, l'chodshe hashana. In this week's parsha, Parshas Boy, so it says, l'chodesh zelachem, reish chadashim, rishon lachem, l'chodshe hashana. What does that mean? Chadashim mechashvim l'shanim. We look at a month that's missing from a year when you compare it to the solar year, to the Shnas HaChama, you have to fill in. It's only if you're missing a full month, then you add a whole month to the year, and it's a Ibiyar. But V'lo Yamim L'Shana, we're not going to add just 11 days to make up after 1 year for the missing days of the year. So therefore, what's the Gemara saying? That the lashon of the pasuk is ad melois hayomim. So we're talking about such kind of days that you have to fill in when it's days that you're filling in, not filling in a full month. Even though it's true, Taka, that when it comes to a year, that sometimes we have an ibiyar and you fill in a full month, but that can't be put into this pasuk which talks about melois hayomim, when you have to fill in with days. And that only applies regarding the days of a month, where you fill in the last day of a month instead of being 29 days, it's 30 days, and therefore from here we learn out that a stam Naziris is 30 days.